Welcome. Hello. We're so excited that you're here with us tonight at our December Community Live. In case you've never tuned in before, Community Live is one of the many ways that we try to keep you up to date about what's happening across Brave Nation. Tonight, we've got some exciting things happening on our show, and the show's being simulcast across Brave Nation Network, including Community ISD Facebook and YouTube pages. And it will be available on demand after the show wraps up. Tonight's topics and guests are a new task force committee that the district has started, Principal Carl Fritz from Edge Middle School, a calendar survey, blue and gold teachers, the upcoming School Board Academy, cuts, colors, and other services that are offered by our CHS cosmetology students, and our annual Bags for Braves event. As always, we'll close out the broadcast by answering any questions that you may have. Please be sure to submit your questions via our Facebook chat. Facebook is the only location that we monitor the chat, so if you have questions, make sure you join on Facebook and ask your questions there. If you don't feel comfortable with your name being attached to your question, you can email us at any time at info@communityisd.org. Now let's get into our show. Before we get to our first guest, I want to talk to you a little bit about a new task force that we're establishing in the district. We've grown over 100% since I arrived here in August of 2021. We had 2,776 students when I came, and today we have 5,287 students enrolled in Community ISD. And while things can always change, our current projections from our demographers show that we will reach the size of Frisco ISD within the next few decades. How do we want to handle that? What do we want our district to look like? The Board of Trustees has charged me with establishing a new committee, the Task Force for Growth, that will provide input into Brave Nation's long-range facility planning. The task force is open to all adults residing in Community ISD pending a background check, and ideally it would be made up of equal representation from each of our 4 towns and our various demographic groups. We want to hear from everyone. We want to make sure that the decisions made in the future reflect what this entire community wants. Know that this will be a multi-year commitment. The task force is going to meet multiple times a year to discuss the various ways that we can respond to our continued population boom in the area, and then share with me and the board which direction they think we should go. There's a link in the chat right now that you can use to sign up. We'll be sending out further instructions about the first task force meeting after Christmas break. And now let's move to our first guest. Tonight, we're so honored to have the Edge Middle School principal with us, Mr. Carl Fritz.
Thank you, ma'am. It's an honor to be here. Thank you so
Great.
much.
We're so excited that you're here. Before we get started with just questions, why don't you share with our audience a little bit about who you are, a little bit about your bio, your career, and how you came to Community ISD.
Okay. So I was born and raised in El Paso. I grew up in a little town outside of there called Canutillo. I'm sure if anybody has Googled my name, they see my dad's face because he was on the school board for about 15 years.
Wow.
My mom was a attendance clerk at the high school that I graduated from. After I graduated, my aunts were all in schools, and so being part of the school district and the school system is kind of what I knew. I went to school in New Mexico at the University of New Mexico, go Lobos, and then I started teaching in Albuquerque, did that for 5 years, moved out here to the DFW area, was at South Garland High School for a while, and then I got the great opportunity to come out to Community. I actually applied right before COVID to be an assistant principal and didn't get an or an invitation out for that one. And then I applied again the following year, and I found out later, after being in the position a couple of years, that I didn't make the cut on the application list. And the person who was going to apply dropped out at the last minute, and I squeezed in just at that last spot. And so it was nice because I got the position, and now I'm starting my 5th year with Community ISD. So,
What brought you to community? Why were you interested in being in community?
you know, just growing up in a town that was very similar, 4A school. Albuquerque Public Schools and Garland ISD are just very large districts, you know, over 2,500 students at each one of these schools. Everything has been in high school. And so I kind of wanted to get back to some of that small town feel. But then knowing the potential for our growth, like you just mentioned, it was just one of those things that I wanted to be a part of. I know when you're growing that quick, you can be on the ground floor on establishing some of the processes, and that's just kind of where I wanted to be.
Great. Well, we're so glad that you chose community and that you're a part of what's happening here. Really excited because this year we've actually seen you step into an even more important role. So, assistant principal at the high school for a few years, and then this year is your first year to sit in the seat as a principal of Edge Middle School.
Yes, ma'am.
What is it that makes Edge Middle School a unique place to be?
You know, for me, unique is coming to a middle school. I've done high school for a long time, 13 years, and now in my 14th year going to a middle school, it's kind of all new. It's all unique. But what I'm really excited about is just where we're headed.
Talk to me a little bit about that. Where are we headed at Edge?
So, you know, Mr. Goff did a great job at Edge, and I appreciate it. I walked into a place that was already working, and so one of my big things, you know, was coming up with our level up theme. And it worked on multiple facets. So the first, you know, the kids love it because it's kind of that video game theme, and the kids are into that. But more importantly, like I told the staff, it was what it meant. It was, we're going to take where we're at, and we're just going to go from good to great. We're going to get better at everything that we do. And then it was really neat because I think you challenged us with find your purpose. What's your purpose going to be? And I started thinking about that. The level up idea was my idea that I gave to them. And as we kind of grew to know each other and trust each other, I challenged the staff, what is our purpose? Why are we coming to work every day? And so it was really exciting when we came down to 2 different philosophies. And one of them was we were going to progress over perfection. In other words, we were going to be growing. And the other one was going to be great on purpose. And it was split right down the middle.
Wow.
There was a huge
Those are
debate.
Both great ones,
They
too.
were. And so I didn't want to have that split and trying to pick one over the other. So it was nice. We blended them. So at Edge, it's going to pop. We're going to progress on purpose.
Progress on purpose. I love it.
And what I really love about it is it's just focusing on that intentionality. That everything, we're going to be growing, we're going to progress, but it's going to be with purpose. You know, we're going to look into how we can get better. And so that's what I'm really excited about Edge.
So is that a theme with your staff or the staff and students? Is that
Currently staff. The students know about the leveling up, and we're doing a lot of great things. We're leveling up kindness. We're leveling up being generous. I don't know if you saw, but we won that canned food drive competition.
Yes, I did.
I mean, it was 1,600 units of food that
That's
the
great.
students and families all donated, which went to a great cause. And so that's that philosophy.
also pushed Edge a little further in the contest, right?
Yes, ma'am. We got to get the points where we can. We got UAL coming up too, so I'm really excited.
Good. That's awesome. Well, that's so glad to hear. And across the district, our whole philosophy is just always getting better. And so that level up, what a great way to relate to kids with games. And you always want to go to that next level, be on the next level. And we want that to be across the district with our Braves, traits of a Brave, or with our academics and our performances. Always looking for how can we be just a little bit better. So I appreciate that whole idea that you came up with and what's going on there. What has been the thing so far at Edge that's been your best memory? You're just in for one semester so far, so there's going to be lots of great memories. But what is that one thing that's happened that really stuck with you at Edge so
I'm
far?
glad you asked because it was homecoming week.
Okay.
We had the Toy Story Day. And so for Toy Story Day, Miss Romo, the assistant principal, her husband had a inflatable Buzz Lightyear costume that she brought. And so I got to work that morning. I put on the Buzz Lightyear inflatable costume and I
Do we have
walked.
pictures of that?
I believe there are
Okay,
some
good,
floating
good.
around somewhere. But I walked into the cafeteria and it just exploded.
Oh,
The
wow.
kids were, oh my God, and they're yelling and cheering and smiling. And I've never wanted to be a celebrity, but I kind of felt
You
like
felt
one
like a
a little
celebrity.
bit that day.
That's awesome.
It
That's
was so much
awesome.
fun, but that's probably one of the best ones so far. But every day we're making new memories and just having a great time.
Good. So you've moved into that. Oh, there's a picture now.
That's actually our Halloween where the students dressed as the Minions and I was Gru. I think my bald head kind of had something to do with that.
Okay. They said they're going through some pictures on the site, though, and so there might have been a picture that came through there with you in
Buzz
that Buzz
Lightyear.
Lightyear costume. So maybe that'll roll back around as we're talking. You've stepped into that leadership role. You've been a leader as an assistant principal, but this year you're the leader of that campus. Talk to us a little bit about your leadership philosophy, how you lead, what you believe in as a leader on a campus.
Working together, I think, is the most important. Getting feedback from the students, from the parents, from the staff, making decisions where considering what's going to align with that philosophy of us leveling up and progressing on purpose. And just kind of building that trust and that positive culture with the staff and with the students. And so, you step on our campus and it's really good to see that it's just a good feeling, a positive atmosphere, and just people are happy to be there.
I don't know if you know this or not, but I spent 5 years of my career as a middle school principal. And if you've not been on a middle school campus, you don't understand it. It's totally different from the high school, totally different from elementary. It's just a different place to be. So share with us, what does a typical day look like, feel like, sound like?
Ma'am, if you've been in there is no such thing as a typical day.
No typical days at the middle school. That's
I
true.
could have 20 things on my calendar, not get to a single one of them. But that's my favorite part of the job, is that you never know what you're going to run into and just meeting those different challenges. But typically, it's answering emails, it's being in classrooms. I love visiting the teachers' classrooms
Good,
and seeing
good.
what they're doing. It's talking to the students, monitoring the hallways in the cafeteria, but not so much to kind of keep an eye on them, but just to interact so that they know who I am. I get to know who they are. All kinds of neat things that we work on. Our PLC's working with our teachers. So we're doing a lot of good work on making sure that the academics part of it is reaching to the rigor that we want to be, and so that our kids are prepared for when they go into high school.
So let's go there then. Let's talk about that. We've got kids transitioning on your campus. One's coming from elementary into a middle school setting, which is totally different than elementary. And then we've got those 8th graders transitioning into those big 4 years at the high school. What advice would you give our 5th graders who are going to get ready to go to either Edge Middle School or Community Trails? What are some things for those kids to think about and to kind of some advice for them coming into next year?
There's got to be two answers to that, because you have the 5th grader who is the eldest student going into 6th grade for the first time. And for those parents, you just got to tell them, don't be scared. It's going to be okay.
It's going to be all right.
Because it's so nerve-wracking to go from that elementary setting and you hear the stories of middle school. And so it's going to be okay. Our teachers are going to care for the kids. They're going to help them along the way. Our principals are going to be there. Our front office staff is going to be there. Your kids are going to be supported, and they're going to be all right. And I say the second answer is to, if it's the youngest of the 5th graders, a lot of them, it's just, hey, it's things are going to be done differently now that I'm there, but at the same time, they're going to be doing things that are going to be there to support the kids, and they're going to do well. And so, each time that a student comes through our campus, it's a unique opportunity for them to succeed and to learn.
Awesome. What about those 8th graders headed off to high school?
Get ready. All the fun and games. Now it's for real. But that's what we want them to kind of see is, One of my philosophies, and I always tell them, is, we want to develop good students. And when I say good students, it doesn't mean that they got to be perfect, A on roll, 4.0 GPA kind of stuff. It's just good study habits, showing up to class on time, not being late, don't be getting tardies, having assignments turned in, taking good notes, how to work Canvas and email, how to communicate with a teacher or an adult or something like that. That way they have those foundations going into high school. And like I tell the kids, make as many mistakes as you can right now, because right now we have time to learn. Sometimes we learn more from our mistakes and our failures than from our successes.
Absolutely. Awesome. Well, that's great advice. I appreciate that. As we kind of transition here, I want to stop and just say, we appreciate you. Leading a campus is not an easy thing to do, and we've been very impressed with your leadership over at Edge and kind of the direction we're headed. A lot of buy-in from students and staff, and so thank you for joining us tonight. Thank you for telling us a little bit about what's going on at Edge Middle School. We appreciate you being here. I'm going to ask if you'll stick around after the show. There may be some questions that come in from parents or students, and so we might bring you back as we get through the show tonight and let you answer some questions.
Of course, and I appreciate all your support as well. And
absolutely.
It's a great place to be.
Yes, it is, and we're so excited that you are here. So as we get ready to come into our next section of our show tonight, I want to talk just a little bit about our community calendar survey. I still want to hear from everybody out there, and I'll say thank you to those of you that have already taken care of this survey. You've already given us your opinion and your vote. I do want to stop just a second because there's been a couple of questions we've had lately about how did these calendars come about? How did we end up with 2? Who picked these 2? And so I do want you to know that we actually started with a lot more calendars than the 2 that you've seen on this survey. And then we've taken them to different committees, parent committees, student committees, staff committees, and through those committees, we've narrowed it down from the larger number of calendars to the 2 that you've actually seen on the survey. And so before our second guest, we start with them, I want to just remind you that if you have not completed the calendar survey, we still need your help. We still want to hear your voice. We want to make sure that those things that we're doing and the decisions that we're making in the district are what you prefer. So right now we have 2 finalists, the 505 minutes option and the Fridays around holidays option. The input that we get from that survey is going to be taken to our Community ISD Board of Trustees in our regular scheduled meeting in January. The link to the survey is in our chat right now, so if you haven't done it, go over there right now and complete that survey. Don't forget that this survey closes on January the 6th, so we really need you to get this taken care of because you're going to get busy during the holidays and won't have time to do it, so let's get that taken care of now. So now it's time for our next guest. We are welcoming Miss Julie Meek. Miss Meek, welcome.
Oh, thank you.
Thanks so much for being here. We appreciate you being here and being a part of the district. There's a lot of people in this district who know who you are. You've been here for quite a long time. Yes. But then we've got thousands of new students too. And so as we're getting all these new people, why don't you take a second to introduce yourself. Tell us who you are, some of the roles that you've played in the district, and what your role is in the district now.
Sure. I became Brave in 2007.
Wow.
Yes. Joined the team as the principal at McClendon Elementary.
Okay.
Served there for 1 year, and then had the absolute honor of opening Neesmith
All right.
in 2008, and I stayed there until 2019.
So how many years is that? Just adding up.
12.
12 years that you were the principal at Neesmith Elementary.
It was home.
It was home.
It was home.
All right.
And then I made the leap and moved into district level leadership and served as the special programs director. And then when you came, you promoted me to executive director. And then this summer, the exciting role, I was promoted to chief of learning.
What does that mean, Miss Meek? Chief of Learning.
Chief of learning is everything about how children learn, everything that goes into their achievement is my responsibility.
That's it.
Yes.
I needed somebody really strong in academics and instruction, and so put you in that position. And we have seen so much already just in a semester of what's happening in that department, and the focus on making sure all of our students, like Mr. Fritz was saying earlier, are making those gains or making that progress. And so we're so happy that you're here, and we're excited you're part of the executive team and just helping to lead this district forward as we're continuing to grow. We've got new things happening all the time, but tonight we want to talk about one of our new programs we have, the Blue and Gold Standard Teachers in the district. Tell us a little bit about what that program is.
The Blue and Gold Standard it's actually Assistant Superintendent Ladd's brainchild.
Okay.
So I'm happy to be able to talk about it tonight. But he worked with district and campus leadership this summer to really, he wanted to find a way to really recognize teachers, but also recognize them for doing things in their classroom that we wanted to see every student in Brave Nation have the opportunity to have in their classroom.
Right.
So it was narrowed down to 4 key components
Okay.
that we felt were important in every classroom.
And what are those 4
Those
components?
4 things are a language-rich environment,
Okay.
classroom culture, tech integration, and student-centered learning.
Okay. those are amazing things, and that's what we want to see in every single classroom.
Yes.
So how does this program recognize those teachers who are doing those things, that are really hitting it out of the park with our kids?
So at the beginning of the year, we made sure that every teacher understood that those are the things we want to see. Those are the things that we feel are important for all students to be able to learn at their best.
Right.
And so they all understood that. So for a teacher to be nominated for this honor, it is done by one of their peers. So someone on their campus, a teacher, could be a principal, an instructional coach.
So it's not me going and picking somebody, or you
Right.
going and picking
Right.
somebody.
It's someone who sees them day in, day out, working in their classroom, putting those elements in place for kids.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And so they nominate them,
They nominate them.
and then what happens?
And then there's 1 or 2 teachers selected from each campus.
Okay.
And then during those, we have 6 nomination periods a year. And so then the executive team, once they're chosen, we go around and get to do the patrol and the excitement of entering each of those classrooms and surprising.
Celebrating them with their
Yes.
students. Always get claps and yells and screams, and the kids are so excited when their teachers get celebrated. It's so fun.
Yes,
to
it's
watch
like
that.
it's a chills moment.
Yeah.
I mean, to see the pride on the teachers' faces, and there's been first-year teachers, there's been 20-year
Experience,
teachers nominated, and just the pride on the teacher's face, the pride on the kids' face, and it's been a wonderful, we've done it twice so far, and it's just been a wonderful experience, and it's really taking off as something really exciting and something teachers want to achieve.
And what other things do we do to celebrate these teachers besides going into their room and celebrating them? We also do a breakfast, right?
We do for this. We first of all, when we go to visit, we give them a plaque of sorts that has their name and then who nominated, and then there's a narrative about why they were nominated, and that's posted outside their room as a reminder that they're Blue and Gold Standard, and then just a reminder that they're special, that they get to look at every day. And then they come to a breakfast, and then we honor them at the school board meeting so that the school board can see, these are the brightest, and this is who their peers feel is really shining on these
Modeling,
elements.
leading, what we're wanting to see. It's so
Exactly.
exciting to celebrate our teachers. Our teachers work tirelessly in those classrooms, and they work hard every day to make sure kids are making progress, and it's so rewarding to get to celebrate them.
Yes, it is.
We celebrate kids a lot, but getting to celebrate them is really something special. And our school board loves to hear about the great things that are happening in the district. So tell us a little bit about how a student or a parent thinks that a teacher's doing an amazing job. How could they make sure that those teachers are getting recognized? Is there a way for them to give some input?
Well, for the Blue and Gold Standard, it would be difficult for them to nominate someone just because they aren't aware of those
Right.
those components for this. But of course, we have a Brave of the Week that they could go and nominate someone. You know, that's a wonderful way
Right.
to nominate and recognize, you know,
And two,
teachers and staff.
Principals, you've sat in the principal seat for a long time. Love hearing about the
Absolutely.
good things that are going on, and a great chance for them to go and brag on those teachers. So we welcome those comments at any time that while you can't nominate somebody for the blue and gold standard, you definitely could give some input for that principal to check in on this teacher and see the great things that are going on in that classroom. So super exciting. And as your role as our chief of learning, one of your responsibilities is to make sure that all of our students are making academic progress, that we're moving kids forward, no one's falling behind. So as you are working on that throughout the year, what are some exciting things you're seeing across the district?
You know, we met with principals today, and we talked a little bit. We looked at data from our first 2 curriculum unit assessments, and we talked about some momentum that's building. You know, we're doing some specific work with teachers on looking at standards and diving into those and really understanding what kids need to know to be successful. And we're seeing some momentum in our scores, and we're seeing some progress, and it's really exciting to see that work pay off and to see the success that's happening for kids, and it's going to continue. That momentum is building.
One of the things that we're doing with this program, with that moving forward, and you and your department have been such a key part of this happening, is a big collaboration piece.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about that collaboration piece. Tell our audience about what our teachers are doing to collaborate with each other.
We are pulling in, we've started with the STAR-tested grades, but we're pulling in and bringing groups together, for instance, all the 3rd grade reading teachers in the
Across
district.
the district.
Yes, all the 8th grade science teachers in the district. And then we pull in key leaders in the district and curriculum personnel to work with different groups to break down those standards and look at past test questions, to look at deeper at a standard and understand the verb and exactly what a question is asking, and helping teachers to understand exactly what is needed for a student to be successful on a standard. So it's been great work.
It's wonderful to hear them talking from one elementary to another elementary across town and talk about, hey, I had a great idea in teaching this or teaching that, and getting to share that.
Yes.
It's wonderful to hear that going on. What other ways do you think that the blue and gold standard will impact community ISD?
I see it as a growing thing. You know, we can continue to add things to what we want to see in our classrooms and build, and teachers will continue to see in others and what they want to have in their classroom and want to go and visit one another and gain things from one another, and that's a very powerful thing.
Absolutely. Getting recognition from your peers is a big deal. When
Yes,
your
it
peers
is.
recognize that you're working hard. And so I want to encourage all of our staff to, if you know people on your campus that are doing great things, make sure you're going in there and nominating them for these components that they're showing in their classes every day. It's important for us to do that. I just want to say to you, Ms. Meek, that we are so excited you're in the position you're in. You're going to have such an impact on this district and our students in this district. Leading our learning in this district. We've got over 5,000, almost 5,300 students in the district now, and knowing that you're in there with the charge of we're going to be the very best we can be. We're going to all be our best polished self every day so that we can serve our kids. So thank you so much for coming tonight and
Thank you for
sharing some
having me.
things. We appreciate you being here. I'm going to ask for you to stick around because there may be some questions that come up as we transition in and out of different things here. But we're going to transition to our next subject, and then we'll bring you back at the end of the show.
Sounds good.
All right. Thank you so much, Ms. Meek. We appreciate you being here. So as we transition into our final guest of the evening, I'm excited to announce that the return of our School Board Academy. Our school board is composed of locally elected officials and at least 2 of those are up for re-election each year with 3-year terms. This year, places 1 and 3 will be on the ballot in May. Our school board president, Mr. Jeff Pendle, is the incumbent for place 1, and he'll be rerunning for election this year. Place 3 is currently held by Mrs. Stacy Schrader, who has shared that she is not going to be seeking re-election in 2025. If you're interested in being a board member, whether in this election cycle or a future one, or if you're just interested in learning more about what it means to be a school board member, please consider attending our School Board Academy. It's basically a board member 101. It'll take place on January the 18th at the CISD Administration Building, and we would love to have you to come and to be a part of that. There's a link to sign up for this academy in the chat right now, and I look forward to seeing a lot of you there as you learn more about Community ISD and how our school board works to help lead this district. So tonight we're transitioning to our last guest that we have here, and it's always exciting when I get to talk to some students. So you guys are a part of this district. All 3 of you are seniors in our district and are part of a wonderful program that we have going here. So before we get into that and you guys tell me all the details, let's start with introduce yourself and tell me, how long have you been in Community ISD?
So my name is Kaylin. I'm a senior at the community high school, and I moved here my 8th grade year.
8th grade year. Okay, so all 4 years at community high school.
Yes.
Awesome. We're glad you're here.
My name's Elena Martinez. I've been here since I was in 4th grade.
Okay.
Yep. So definitely a long time.
Which elementary did you attend?
So I went to McClendon in 4th grade, and then I went to Neesmith in 5th grade.
Okay. Experienced a lot of stuff around
I
community
did,
ISD.
yes.
Okay. Ann.
My name is Jacqueline, and I've been here since I was in pre-K. And
Oh,
yeah,
you win.
yeah.
All right. And all of you are part of our cosmetology program. And we have some exciting things to tell. So let me start with why did you get into the cosmetology program? What is it that sparked your interest?
So growing up, I've always watched my Aunt Laura do hair, and I just loved watching her making other people feel pretty. And so, I don't know, there's just something about it that I just loved, and I always was like, oh, I want to do that.
So do you still love it after you're going through all the classes?
Yeah.
now? Good. We want to make sure that happens. And what about you? What was it about cosmetology?
I felt like cosmetology is such a creative thing that you can do, and you can do so many creative things with it. And I love using like that part of. I feel like I'm more of a creative type of person than I am like mathematic or scientific.
Okay.
And I felt like I was really able to do things like that in cosmetology.
And you, ma'am?
Well, ever since I was little, I would like watch my sister do her makeup or like her friends, and so I really loved doing like makeup, hair, nails. So it was like
Okay.
something I really loved.
And so let's go there because you've mentioned several aspects, right? Not just hair. So why don't y'all explain to me and to our listeners tonight, what is cosmetology?
So, cosmetology is a dual credit program that we have at the high school.
Okay.
We get to learn hair, skin, and nails, the different techniques that go into each one of those things. And then it sets us up for after we graduate and then like into the real world and into real jobs and things like that. So, learning how to do any type of hair service, any type of facial skin service, and then manicures and pedicures for nails and things like that. Yep.
Awesome. And I overheard you guys talking before we went on air about preparing for a big test. So what big test do we have coming up in January?
So we have our state board test that defines if we get our license or not.
Okay.
So there's a written portion and then there's a practical portion. So we have a big test that we have to go and just go over all of the stuff that we've learned, like written wise, like book wise.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have a practical where we have our mannequin and we do everything that we've learned on the mannequin.
Okay.
And then, yeah, they basically just grade you off of that as, like, if you're good enough to be a hairstylist.
Okay.
So,
And makeup too? Do we do stuff with?
yes, we do a facial on the test, and then we do a set of nails on the test, perms, all of it. So it's a big test that we've been